All right, welcome to the Roger That Fantasy Football Show. We're back with another video. In this video, we think it's going to be super valuable to you guys. We're going over 3 running backs that you should 100% target in your fantasy drafts. And then we're also going to give you 3 running backs we think you should avoid. Obviously, we'll give you those 6 names in the show. But I wanted to say before we jump into it, please, if you are watching this, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thank you to the ones that listened to that message last show. We gained a few new subscribers. We're grinding for you guys. We have your championship rings on lock. We've done it for a while now, and we've just carried our talents over to YouTube, South Beach. So without further ado, why don't we jump right into our first running back to target in your draft.
Roger that. Roger That, the Fantasy Football Show. We have your championship rings on.
Cam, why don't we start with the best?
Yeah, I mean, my running back, I remember it was pretty crazy because, like I think, Evan, I think you said in maybe our first or second episode that we're all in the same draft and we all we don't do ours online. We have a real board. And I remember I took this player in the 13th round last year. He didn't even have his name on his own sticker. I had to write his name in.
Yep.
Respect.
Yeah, that was crazy.
So mine's Devin Singletary. I mean, the obvious, obviously they run the ball a ton. And then since week 8, Singletary, he handed about 15 carries a game and 4 targets. So, I mean, that volume enough is putting you already into that RB2, maybe even low-end RB1, just depending on kind of the opportunity that he gets. The downside, and I've heard it from not only both of you, but from a lot of other people, whether it's other people in the fantasy community, is he only scored 3 touchdowns. And obviously when you're playing fantasy football, I mean, as a running back, if your guy's not going to score touchdowns, it's just the opportunity is just kind of left on the table. I mean, Frank Gore took a lot of that, and then Josh Allen kind of out of nowhere was almost their feature back inside the 5. And while I do think Josh Allen will still get a lot of those carries, and obviously they did draft Zach Moss, just look how efficient Singletary was. I mean, he was 9th in scrimmage yards. Okay. He played 74% of the Bills running back snaps from week 8 on. The Bills were 4th in rushing attempts and 8th in rushing yards. So you know what their identity is and what they're trying to do. And right now, like I said, he was RB31 last year. Right now, he is going a little later than I would like, which is perfect for me because I'm taking him early. RB18, so I mean, inside the top 20, I think he's a lock to finish inside the top 15. And if you can grab him as maybe your RB2, or I mean, if you can even grab him as your flex, I think he'd be one of the best flexes in your league. And yeah, that's mine, Devin Singletary.
Yeah, part of the conspiracy theorist in me thinks that you hid Singletary's name last year off the board just to keep him, kind of quiet so no one else could draft him.
The disrespect, not even having his name on one of the stickers is the craziest thing.
Meanwhile, keep in mind too, moment. They give like what's the guy from Napoleon Dynamite and stuff? They give you like fake names you can draft.
Uncle Rico was before Singletary.
Uncle Rico had a name, but Singletary did not. Wild.
To this day, that might be the most disrespectful thing that fantasy kit's ever done.
So the guy that I'm targeting, similar to Cam getting a rookie last year, rookie on my board here is Cam Akers for the LA Rams. Not as well known as some of these other Florida State prospects that have come out in the last few years, mostly because, let's face it, Florida State has been a joke of a program the last handful of years. But this is a guy that broke Dallvin Cook's freshman rushing record. Coming out of last year, had 2.91 yards per carry after contact, which is the highest of any incoming running back in this class, and posted an elite speed score of 108, which just in context is like, top, I think, 90th percentile of the NFL for running backs coming out. Impressive kid, 220 pounds, ran a 4.4. I think the sky's the limit for this guy, and we know Todd Gurley's gone there now. I think McVay is going to get back to running the ball, take the ball out of Goff's hands this year. I think they're going to, really hammer Akers, and I'm not really positive on any of the other running backs in their system there. Darrell Henderson had some upside last year, but didn't show anything as a rookie. I think Akers is a guy that's going to explode on that scene. In my opinion, is the best value for your buck in terms of rookie running backs with the current ADP of 97. I'm taking him in all my leagues this year. I think he's a stud. I think he's going to be the lead running back for the Rams in a good offense. And I think he's the guy to really target if you're looking for a rookie running back that's going to break out.
And like you said, they wouldn't get rid of Todd Gurley if they didn't have a plan in place. So
exactly. And they drafted this kid in the second round. So they have high hopes for him. And like I said, McVay, I think, wants to run the ball. It's part of his game plan. And, Gurley being sort of banged up the last couple of years really took that away from him. He gets another guy he can kind of pound between the tackles. I think that's a win-win for the Rams, a win-win for Akers fantasy value.
Yikes.
So
running back in my trouble position for sure.
This one is definitely we'll have to monitor because we could be steering our viewers down the wrong path here. The guy that
wide receivers and quarterbacks, running backs.
We may be deleting this video after week 3.
Yeah.
All right, so my targeted running back here, and this guy is a sleeper. I mean, he could be in a coma based on his ADP and where he's going. But Justin Jackson on the Chargers is a guy that I am ultra high on. This guy I want as I'm not going to call him a starter. I'm not going to say he's going to be a top 10 running back or anything like that. But this is a guy that you're going to be able to get. His ADP right now is 170. You're going to be able to get Justin Jackson as an absolute flyer in your league. And the opportunity that presents itself with him could be endless. I think he's going to be able to slide right into a role in which was carved out for him in Melvin Gordon and just excel. I think he's going to be the ground dominant guy. Now, Justin Jackson's a guy that had some opportunity, if we call it that, last year, and he did absolutely nothing. Yeah. He showed some flashes. He looked okay, but I am taking an absolute flyer on him. So when I say this guy's a must draft, I'm not saying, hey, third round rolls around, Justin Jackson's on the board, you snag him. No, you're going to be able to get this guy so late in your draft. He might go undrafted in some drafts, in those less intelligent ones. But, if you're listening to this, you'll be one of the more intelligent ones in your draft, and you can target Justin Jackson. I think he takes the Melvin Gordon role and the Melvin Gordon success in that offense behind a way improved offensive line in LA. And poof, he's the next Melvin Gordon, if you will. I don't know if if that's a bold guarantee, but I do think Justin Jackson 100%. Justin Jackson 100% has a huge year this year, and I think that based on the value you get him at, you could be drafting him for peanuts, and he could end up being your flex week in and week out.
Yeah, I just looked at it too. Austin Eckler's career high in carries was last year with 130. The Chargers quarterbacks right now are Tyrod Taylor and Justin Herbert. That's not a recipe to fling the ball around. They're going to be having to run the ball a significant amount this year. So do you really trust Eckler to get 300 carries, or is it more likely that Justin Jackson boosts his carries overall as well? That's where I'm going. I think that's a good, solid play at the end of the draft.
That's a value pick, like you said. I mean, like you said, he's going undrafted. And I mean, if you can kind of beat people to it after week 1, week 2, once you start seeing the role that he's going to have, I mean, even if you have to stash him for a couple weeks, I mean, that's how you win your drafts early, and you stash your players, and then when the opportunity comes, you plug them right in.
You don't want to be the guy that wanted to draft Justin Jackson or watch this show, and then all of a sudden someone picks up Justin Jackson a week after the draft, and all of a sudden they hold on to him and they're patient with him, and then a couple weeks in, he is the guy that's handling the workload.
And how many times do we see late round waiver wire running backs be the guys that help win your league?
Always.
It's almost every year that's the case, So,
that's Cam's bread and butter.
That's Cam's bread and butter. Is that
when you're
out of nowhere
in the first 3 rounds, but you can lose it.
It's true.
I think that's partially relevant here, but yeah. All right.
It sounded better in my mind.
No, it sounded great.
Completely on the sleeper running back topic.
Yeah.
All right, so let's put these smiles away, boys, and let's get into a couple running backs, or should I say a few running backs that we are avoiding in our drafts. Cam, you went first last time. Why don't we start with NFL Jake J on Twitter?
So I went with an FSU running back to take, and I'm telling you an FSU running back to avoid this year. And some of it is because he let me down at the end of the year by being hurt in the playoffs in my championship. cost me.
You would have got
Against Evan,
ragdolled. You would have got ragdolled no
Probably.
matter what.
So this is the only.
Although I only needed 4 points from freaking Alex Boone or whatever his name was, and I didn't get it. So, Dalvin Cook has an ADP of 3, and this is nothing against the player. I think he is a fantastic, fantastic running back. But if you're taking a guy in the top 5, like Cam said, you can lose your draft in the first couple rounds. You want a guy who's going to be there every single week, and you're expecting that guy to be the guy that you carry, that carries you through the playoffs. Dalvin Cook has not played a full season. His running style just does not allow for it. And so do you really want to take a guy that is going to be on the shelf weeks 12, 13, 14? That's a guy that, to me, yes, he can get you to the playoffs. Yes, he can be great for a season. But those injuries are coming. They're just not going to stop with Dalvin Cook. I've not seen anything that tells me he can hold up with that punishing running style for an entire season. Let someone else draft Dalvin Cook this year and face the consequences late in the year. I'm just staying away from him at that ADP. He's not worth the risk in terms of how he's going to finish up the season with those injuries.
Yeah.
Everything else, he's money. He's an awesome player. I think that body's going to break down. I really do.
And you kind of said it too. You said, let someone else draft him. If someone drafts him at ADP 3 and he produces at that value, that's okay.
Yep.
These are a void. Jake's not calling for an absolute bust. We talked about it last episode with the wide receivers to avoid. That word is so crucial here. Avoid them. Don't try and wear the risk. Leave the risk at the door. There's guys that you can get around these ADPs. There's guys you can draft instead of them that just may be safer and may actually present more upside. So let's harp on that these are guys to avoid, not necessarily say they're going to bust. And I can go right into mine too, because it's kind of in a similar vein. This is a guy that absolutely exploded, I would say, for the majority of last season. Aaron Jones, right now his ADP is 19. Now, sure, if he produces at all like he did last year, I think that's fine. That ADP fits. But Aaron Jones is now in a system where I'd say they're super running back by committee. They drafted A.J. Dillon, I believe, a bigger running back, a guy that I think would take those goal line carries away from him. I don't see Aaron Jones being able to do exactly what he did last year. I don't see him being able to explode. And again, this is all based on him going in the top 20 of these drafts. Aaron Jones may be the feature back in that backfield. He may have a really good and really stellar RB1 season. But to me, that isn't worth the risk of all of the potential downfall that is drafting him in the top 20 of your draft.
Yeah, and that in that range too, you got guys like Josh Jacobs, Miles Sanders. I'm going those guys all day over an Aaron Jones just because of those reasons you listed. Again, if Aaron Jones falls in our laps at 26, 20, like if he falls in your draft, take him. It's just that ADP, like you said, is just not worth the risk for a guy that could become running back by committee with a guy who's going to take all his goal line carries. LaFleur wants a running back by committee. He's shown he wants that. So I agree. Like I'm avoiding him as well. He's one of my guys I'm kind of staying away from.
Yeah, and
Cam loves Aaron Jones though.
So also around that ADP range is Chris Carson, and for me, I'm avoiding him this year. And we all know that Seattle likes to run the ball to set up that play action to Metcalf and Lockett. That's kind of where Russ really can excel. But for me, I know he's still rehabbing a hip injury, and so we're not sure if he'll be ready for week 1. All reports are saying he will be, but then them signing Carlos Hyde, Carlos Hyde gets disrespected and he always has good years. So Carlos Hyde in Houston had over 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns. If you just heard that, would you think, they'll probably keep him, right? They're not really paying him that much. No, they kind of went away with it, got David Johnson for DeAndre Hopkins, and maybe the worst trade in NFL history or sport history. I'm also big on Rashad Penny. The last 2 weeks that Penny played, he flashed. He had 29 carries for 203 yards and 2 touchdowns before he got injured. So Penny won't be ready for week 1, but once he's back, I'm telling you, that's a for sure running back committee. And I would not be surprised to see Rashad Penny kind of take over. And another thing is, I can't tell you how many times I've watched Chris Carson and seen him fumble.
Yeah.
It's insane.
So he lost 4 fumbles last year. And I remember, because Jake, did you have him 2 years?
I had him, and I had him last year, and I had to watch every single game of his. It's literally every other run he fumbles. I'm not even kidding you. It's like he's allergic to the football.
And there's nothing worse than having your running back that you're watching week in and week out. Every time he gets the ball, you're supposed to be excited. You watch him, you're like, oh, don't fumble, don't fumble,
yeah,
don't fumble.
hold my breath.
And another thing is, so if you heard that your running back doubled his career reception total, you're thinking, oh, wow, he had 70, 80 catches. He doubled his reception total and still only had 37 receptions. So for me, I know we play in a half PPR league. I know PPR leagues are super, super popular. You want a running back. If you're going to take him as your running back, Chris Carson's probably running back 2 right now. If you're in a standard league, okay, it may be different, but I'm not taking a running back who might have 20 to 30 catches. I want a running back that's going to be heavily involved in the passing game and be able just to make plays from your quarterback.
Cam, are you? So I just looked it up. Carlos Hyde is an ADP of 190. Is that a guy you're looking at the end of the draft?
100%. I was going to have Carlos Hyde instead of Singletary, but I didn't want to talk about two Seattle players. That could be the value, and mark my words, that could be the steal of the draft, taking Carlos Hyde.
This video turns into just a steal of the draft. That's the gem of this video right here.
And like,
even planned.
If I'm wrong, I'm going to go on YouTube and delete this video, but
change the password.
This could be the steal of the draft. Carlos Hyde can handle 20, 25 carries a game. I mean, he's not going to get to the second level and break off for 70 yards every week, but Carlos Hyde is a good running back. And the disrespect he's gotten throughout the years makes me kind of mad.
Cam's got a soft spot for Carlos Hyde.
I love Carlos Hyde.
All right. Well, there you have it. All right. So my running back to draft and to target was Justin Jackson. Jake?
Cam Akers for the Rams.
Devin Singletary, top 13.
Our running backs to avoid. We had Cam with Chris Carson, myself with Aaron Jones, and then Jake with the guy that lost him the championship. Dalvin Cook. But all right, guys, thank you. Please subscribe to the channel. All you have to do is scroll down, big red subscribe button, click it. You can even hit the bell so you get notified every time we post a new video. We have your championship rings on lock. We're providing you just absolute bangers here. So
all the way.
Singletary all the way. All right, guys, till next time.